This episode of the Gamerheads podcast is brought to you by Seven Bridges Premium Gourmet Yum Yum Sauce. Enhance every bite with our savory blends of flavors, perfect for meats, vegetables, and crispy treats. Whether you're dipping, drizzling, marinating, grilling, roasting, or snacking, Seven Bridges Yum Yum Sauce takes your culinary experience to the next level. Get yours today and make every meal a gourmet delight.
Hi, I'm Celia Schilling from Yacht Club Games.
Hey, this is James from Megacat Studios.
Hey folks, this is Matt, aka Stormageddon from Reignite and the Fun and Games podcast.
This is Stephanie from the Boss Rush podcast and the Boss Rush Network.
Hey, this is Mark and Keon from Bunte Avond.
Hey, this is Sebastian with the ProNerdReport.com and the Single Player Experience podcast.
Hi, this is Chris.
Mike.
And Garrett from Daylight Basement Studio.
Hey, this is Baron J67 from Level 1 Gaming.
Hi, I'm Jacob McCourt from the Left Behind Game Club, Crossplay Conversations, and Video Game Trivia.
Hey, this is Todd Mitchell from Code Right Play.
Salutations, this is Mike Carroll from Stroll Art.
Hey, this is Jeff Moonen from Fun and Games Podcast.
What's good, y'all? This is Adam from Respawn Aimfire.
Hey, this is Patrick from the Backlog Odyssey.
Hey, this is Rune from Runic Codes.
Hi, this is Andrew from Spalato Bros.
Hi everyone, Jill Grote here from the Indie Informer.
Hello, this is the Crypt Master, and you're listening to Roger you're listening to Roger on the Gamerheads podcast.
And welcome to another episode of the Gamerheads podcast. My name is Roger. Along with me this week, I have a very special guest. I have a returning guest, a good friend of mine. I have Carter Dotson joining me. Carter, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, always a pleasure to be on Roger. I know we get to hang out, play some games, but glad to be back on the podcast with you.
Yeah. So this week I asked you kind of last minute. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing after work? Did you get Donkey Kong? And you said yes. And I'm like, cool, let's talk about Donkey Kong. Because I wanted to do an episode about Donkey Kong. So here we are. We're talking about Donkey Kong.
I need to correct the record. You asked me if I had Donkey Kong Bonanza, and my response was, oh, banana.
That's true. And then my response was, is that a yes? That's true. So yeah, I mean, I know you're not quite as far as I am. You haven't played it as much, but I wanted to get your first impressions. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk a little bit about our mechanics and stuff like that. So I have played. I have like I'm not real far, but I'm over 10 hours into this game. So I have my third Bananza. I have the Zebra Bonanza, which I think is all of them now, I think. So we'll talk a little bit about that here. But before we get into like the deep dive, some of the mechanics and like the audience appeal and such, I guess my first thought to you is like, what's your overall take on this game? Like, how does it feel to you? Does it feel like a natural evolution of the Donkey Kong series, or does it feel more of like a spin-off? I guess what's your first impressions?
Yeah, I feel like the whole element of like, it's like I don't know how you describe this again. It's like digging, like being able to like kind of plow your way through the world. It's a very interesting one. It's not really something I think that I feel like I've seen a lot of in a Donkey Kong game before. But I mean, also consider that Donkey Kong has been very flexible. Remember the first Donkey Kong game, you didn't even play as Donkey Kong.
It's called Donkey Kong, but you're not playing as Donkey Kong.
Like, imagine Nintendo made a game where you didn't play as the character who was in the name of the game.
They never have done that before. That's the
never
first
have
time.
Done it.
Yeah.
Never have done it, never will do it again.
Never do it again. That's right. Which is really funny, actually, now that you say that, because Donkey Kong, he played as Donkey Kong, but like, it is funny that like Zelda, now there is a Zelda game where you actually play as Zelda. Like, that's pretty cool. But yeah, that is pretty funny that the first Donkey Kong game, you're not even playing as Donkey Kong. You're like, Donkey Kong's the villain. And I say villain loosely. I don't ever think Donkey Kong was ever a villain. And we can get into that, but Donkey Kong was always been the good guy. I'm a huge Donkey Kong fan, by the way. But you're right. It does feel
yeah,
it does feel
I was
different.
just saying, if you gave me a bunch of barrels, I might throw them down at a plumber that's kind of trying to come at me with hammers. Look, we've heard Mario's side of the story. Has anyone heard Donkey Kong's side of the story?
We have actually, though. We have. Apparently. Well, so okay. I'm saying this. I have not seen it in the instructions myself, but apparently Mario was not a good person to Donkey Kong. Like, he was kind of abusive. So Donkey Kong said, "I'm done with this. I'm leaving. I'm out of here." And then he's going after him. He took Pauline, and we can get into that too. But well, actually, let's talk about that, because I did ask, does this feel like more of a spinoff? It is weird because in the Donkey Kong lore, before this game, Donkey Kong ends up being Cranky Kong. So the Donkey Kong that you play with the tie is really Donkey Kong Jr. And then Pauline,
I guess which I guess. So you're a Donkey Kong lore expert, I'm taking it, Roger.
I mean, I would say I know some of the Donkey Kong lore. Yeah, some.
You know more Donkey Kong lore than I do. So my question here is, how does Donkey Kong Jr. then play into the lore here? Because in Donkey Kong Jr., if I remember correctly, Mario kidnapped Donkey Kong, who is Cranky Kong.
Yeah.
But then I think Donkey Kong Jr. isn't Donkey Kong Jr. also a separate character from the current iteration of Donkey Kong? Because if I'm remembering now, as I'm saying this, wasn't Donkey Kong Jr. a playable character in Mario Tennis?
Well, so yeah, so this is where it gets a little weird and wonky, because I don't think this is the same. I don't. So okay, to answer your other question, Donkey Kong Jr. You first see him really in the Super Mario Kart, and he's wearing the shirt with you see him in Donkey Kong Jr., the video game, and then you see him in the Mario Kart game, but then he wears a tie, and that's always been Donkey Kong Jr. And then Cranky Kong, I think Rare kind of made that, where Cranky Kong was the original Donkey Kong, and that kind of just became canon, up to this game. I can't really answer the tennis question, because that does feel like that doesn't really fall into the lore of everything. but this game really does throw everything on its head, because in this game you do run into there's some spoilers here. Okay, I'm gonna say some spoilers here.
That is fine. I am on the record as saying that I get the concept of spoilers for this game, but also the idea of spoiling Donkey Kong Bananza is an inherently funny concept.
That's true. It is, right? So Cranky Kong is in this game, but Pauline obviously is a kid, and I can't say this for certain because I haven't beaten the game yet, but I'm 99% sure that this is a prequel to Mario Odyssey. So, because in Mario Odyssey, obviously you see New Donk City, and Pauline is the mayor of New Donk City, and she's a singer, and blah, 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 blah. Well, this is a prequel to all that, because she is, she got kidnapped by the Void Company, and she was turned into that Purple Rock character. And then real early on in the game, you free her from that, and she becomes Pauline, and she's part of her whole thing is that when you turn into Bananza, Donkey Kong Banana, when you become bananazized, I don't know if that's the word or not, but she sings a song for each one of those transformations, and she's on her way to become a singer, but she's very shy, and it takes Donkey Kong to help her get out of her shell and help her kind of see this transformation of her becoming a singer. So I suspect that we start seeing this relationship between Pauline and, we do, but I'm assuming this ties into Mario Odyssey. But the whole thing is, I think it throws anything that we knew about Donkey Kong lore out the window, But they still play into the rarer characters. Like you still run into Cranky Kong. And that's the weird thing. It's like, well, but then is that really the original Donkey Kong? Because then what about Pauline? Because Pauline is a kid in this game. And Pauline is the character that Donkey Kong kidnaps, where Mario goes and saves her in Donkey Kong. Well, Jumpman.
So here is my hypothesis, done from seconds of deep consideration.
Yeah,
is
within this little bit of podcast right now.
Yes, is that the Pauline that Cranky Kong kidnapped in the original Donkey Kong game is just some woman named Pauline.
Not related.
Not related. Complete coincidence. Look, is it really that crazy that there could be two brunette women named Pauline that exist at different times?
That is a good question. That is, and what's really funny is actually on our arcade cabinets, Pauline has blonde hair. She doesn't have brunette hair.
Oh.
Yeah. But that's just Polly. Actually, I don't know why that is. I can't answer that. But yeah, she's blonde. But maybe you're right. Or maybe they're somehow related. Maybe a granddaughter. Who knows? Yeah. But I do think this is a prequel to Mario Odyssey. So it could still play into the lore. It could still play into the Donkey Kong lore.
It does seem to explain why Donkey Kong doesn't have clothes. He lost them very, very early on. And
yes.
It was like, Donkey Kong, what happened to your clothes? Well, you're just going around like that. Cool. We're all monkeys.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. I will say this. You do get clothes later on, though, Carter. So don't fret.
Now, are they... Now, they're optional, right?
They are optional. That's true.
They're optional. Yeah. So
yes.
See, non-canon cloth.
So maybe it still does play into it, because one thing I will say about this game that I really do love is that they are really tying into every Donkey Kong game, including the ones that Nintendo didn't make, Rare made, right? And that's really cool. I think that's really, really awesome. So there's elements that are 2D, which are reminiscent to the Donkey Kong Country games. There's characters from Donkey Kong Country in this game. Yeah, I think that's really cool. And then there's even just some mechanics that I'm like, oh, this feels like Donkey Kong Jr. It sounds really like small, but like even him climbing up the ropes and the way he climbs up the ropes, I was like, oh my gosh, this feels like Donkey Kong Jr., like when you play Donkey Kong Jr. And I guess that makes sense if he really is Donkey Kong Jr. I mean, like, yeah, it makes sense. But I love the fact that they didn't cut out any of the Donkey Kong stuff at all. Like they leaned into all the Donkey Kong history here. And maybe you're right. Maybe this is a different Pauline, and that's not that far-fetched, I guess. Maybe Pauline's a very popular name in the Mario world. I don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe that makes sense of why Mario, because it always threw me off a little bit in Mario Odyssey. Why didn't Mario be like, oh my God, Pauline, hey, remember me? Like they don't seem to know each other at all. They're just like, oh, hey, how's it going? So maybe that does make sense.
Well, the other explanation could be that maybe Mario just forgot. He
does hit his head a lot.
Let's consider that Mario is known for hitting blocks with his head to obtain money.
Yeah,
and he's not
true.
Wearing a helmet or anything.
No, it's just a flimsy hat.
Yeah, that you think that hat is preventing CTE? No. I think it is perfectly plausible that Mario just forgot. Look,
forgot, yeah.
I had it happen once where I was invited to an event by someone, and I was talking to that person saying that, hey, this so and so invited me to this event. It's like, I'm that guy, right? So I can relate to Mario here.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this is that I did not come into this podcast recording expecting to be discussing as much Donkey Kong lore as as we have discussed, this is very edifying and very, very interesting. But I was expecting to be talking about the game and I haven't played as much as I would like. In part because my plan was I pre-ordered the physical copy from Best Buy.
Okay, all right.
And I was hoping to get it last Thursday because I had a concert I was going to. I had to take a pretty lengthy bus ride and bring my Switch 2 with me.
Yeah.
But the tyrants at UPS decided, no, Carter, you do not deserve to have Donkey Kong Bonanza on release day. You deserve to have it the next day.
Oh,
so
no.
you know what I had to do? I had to play Echoes of Wisdom like a chump.
Well, you get to play Zelda. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Again, great on Nintendo. They have they fixed the error. They have fixed the error of their ways.
Yeah.
A game where you play as the character in the name of the game.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, that's a little bit of the Donkey Kong lore. And it very well could be that this is a different Pauline than we knew from the original Donkey Kong.
Before we move on, I do have a question for you that is semi-related.
Yeah.
How old were you when you realized it was Diddy's Kong Quest and not Diddy Kong's Quest?
I think this old right now, today, this minute.
Donkey Kong Country 2 subtitle is Diddy's Kong Quest and not Diddy Kong's Quest.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Look it up.
Okay. No, I mean, I believe you. It just sounds weird. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, when I say Donkey Kong's Quest, it would be Donkey Kong's, like his last. Yeah. Okay. But maybe, you know what? Maybe that's not their last name. Maybe it's just, they're just of the Kong clan. I don't know. Maybe they don't.
Maybe it's the whole Baron. Look, maybe it's whoever did the whole Berenstein thing was also like,
that's true.
Let's swap it around. Let's just really mess. Let's just really mess with them.
That's right.
Look, call your local congressperson and tell them to regulate time travelers today.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, regulate them yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. Go right to them from yesterday. But I don't know. I think for me, this feels like a really good evolution of Donkey Kong, because of the fact I love this. I love the smashing mechanics behind it.
Yes.
It feels really good, and it feels like, well, yeah, of course Donkey Kong can do that. And the other thing that I will say too that I really appreciate is that there's elements of the exploration that they brought into Zelda of like, if you can see it, you can go there, right? So they did this with Donkey Kong, but there's no, thank goodness they didn't do this. There is no like mechanic where you get exhausted, where you only have so much stamina to climb up these mountains and stuff like that. You can just climb. You can just go. You're just Donkey Kong. You just go. The only mechanic like that would be when you're the Bananza version of yourself. There is a meter that does go down when you're Bananza-ized. And for understandable reasons, like, you are really powerful when you are a Bonanza version of yourself. You can't just go around being that forever. But I really like the evolution of this Donkey Kong, where they're going with Donkey Kong. I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, when I first picked up the game and realized you could like smash through just about everything, it really felt like the future. It's one of those games that one of my complaints with like modern gaming is a lot of games don't feel like they really take advantage of all the like processing power and GPU power that we have available to ourselves. There's so many games that feel like you could put them on the Xbox 360 and they'd probably run it at 20 frames per second, but they would work.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have this game where you can completely just obliterate the environment. There's gold to pick up everywhere. There's the fact that it's so like 3-dimensional that you can think in terms of verticality both up and down, and you can smash through things, dig through things, and there's like I said, all these particle effects going on. That it's like it feels really cool, and it feels like it feels like a modern game that is taking advantage of the fact that we have these incredibly powerful systems, and is giving you an experience to like go far and dig through the environment. It feels modern, feels really cool. It feels like the future.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I really like about that too is that they're not stopping you from doing whatever you want. Now, there are parts of the world where if you dig so far down, you might hit a layer like a metal layer that you can't go past, or you might hit lava, or you might hit like poison water, or you might hit frozen water, which will do damage to Donkey Kong. Like, you can't go past that. So there are some ways that they kind of control of like, okay, you've gone far enough, you can't go any deeper than this. But there are elements too where it's like you see a banana over there, and this is a collectathon game, and part of it is collecting bananas. Bananas you can use, once you collect 5 bananas, you get a skill point. You can level up Donkey Kong. It's very cool. But if you see a banana, there's probably like 8 different ways you can get that banana. And a lot of times I'm just like recently I was just playing, and there was an area that I'm like, okay, they want me to throw ice into this lava and walk around. I could do that, or I could just turn into the ostrich version of me and just fly over there. And I did, and it was cool. I was like, this is so cool. This is such a cool way of doing this game. There's also I don't want to call they're like banana shrines. That's the best way I could describe. They're challenge rooms where like they have different challenges, and you earn bananas by completing these challenges. And there's several different ways you can complete those challenges as well. I was just playing one where it's all lava, and there's these enemies like on little platforms out there. And the first way I tried to beat them, and I think I could have gotten it to work if I would have played it a little bit better, was taking like, there were these I don't know the names of all these enemies because they have like really weird names, but these ones had like rocks on them, but they're ice rocks. And the first way there's 2 that are standing right there. I destroyed both of them, and then I took them and I was throwing the rocks at the other ones. The problem was then I was like, oh, I'm out of rocks. I can't really, there's 5 enemies or 6 enemies, and I can't get them all with just those 2 rocks. Then I thought, once if I just throw it down on the ground and I jump and then I run, and then I think I could have done it that way. I think that would have worked. But what I ended up doing was surfing on these ice rocks, and it worked. It was great. I mean, but my point is that I also tried Bananza-izing and turning into the ostriches flying, and I think I could have done that too. I just did that too late, and I ran out of time. But what's great is that it's just all up how you want to complete some of these challenges or find certain things in the game. And they really leave it up to you. There's really no wrong way of doing things, which is really cool. Well, I guess there are some wrong ways. You could die, like, but it allows you to experiment and try new things and say, oh, like, I think I can try that. Let's see what happens. And it's cool. I really like that about this game.
I really like that Nintendo is really, with their mainline franchises, really, I think, exploring this like creativity and this sort of open-endedness. We're seeing it with these Zelda games now, and not just Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but also with Echoes of Wisdom. I mean, Echoes of Wisdom is a game where, even to its detriment, you have to kind of improvise how you make your way through that game. Yeah. But I really like to see Nintendo, like I say, it feels very like modern. It's very weird for Nintendo, which I think has been like Nintendo has been there since some of the earliest days of gaming. The Mario games defined what platforming is, and the fact that Nintendo in recent years has really started to embrace this sort of creativity and open-endedness and letting you solve the problem and letting you create the solution in ways that are, maybe outside the scope of what you are quote unquote supposed to do. It's such a fun and interesting thing, and it's why Nintendo is still so good at what they do is that they are, evolving with the times. I mean, I remember playing Breath of the Wild for the first time, being like, this feels so weird for like a Zelda game, and what I expect from a Zelda game for it to be so like open-ended. But again, Nintendo, you can teach a horse new tricks, and like especially when you consider that like with these games, with the Zelda games, with the Mario games, with this, that there are people in the credits that are they've been working on Nintendo games since the 80s.
Yeah.
There is a lot of institutional knowledge there that Nintendo takes advantage of. And there are obviously criticisms to be made of the the Japanese work ethic and all that. But when you compare Nintendo having staffers and creative people that have been there since the days of the original Donkey Kong, since Super Mario Brothers, and I bring that institutional knowledge, and you compare that to the modern gaming industry where we're hearing about layoffs on a regular basis, like there's a reason why Nintendo is still so beloved after all these years. Nintendo has their missteps. They're not perfect, but also they have the people that made those mistakes are still around to learn from them, and they're evolving and they're teaching the next generation. And we're seeing it with these games that they continue to make, and we see it with Bananza, this incredibly creative and fun experience that, again, if you still think of Nintendo as the Super Mario Brothers company and you're very rigid and traditionalist, that they are exploring and experimenting in ways, and encouraging creativity from players and encouraging them to break the rules.
Yeah, I think what's funny that you say that, because I think Mario Brothers, the first Mario Brothers, there's a lot of rule breaking in there, right? Like you want to jump above the level and crawl across the top and get to a warp pipes, you can do that. You can warp like 3 times to get to the end of the game if you want to, right? Like, oh, that's crazy. The other thing that I think when you were talking about that, which makes Nintendo a unique company too. So this was originally going to be on the Switch. This was going to be originally a Switch game. And they quickly realized that they needed this to be on the new hardware because it's just going to be so much better on the new hardware. But how many companies would allow that to happen? I'm like, oh yeah, sure, you can continue to work on it and improve it until the new hardware comes out. I mean, how many companies would allow that to happen? It's like, what? You can't. No, you've been working at it long enough. You're done. Like you're let go, because like this needs to release now. I just think that's such an interesting dynamic that we're seeing right now in the industry as well. So
I think now I will say Nintendo does have the advantage of they have such a long tail on their games. Like I think I was seeing news recently that Mario Kart 8 is still selling copies hand over fist, and this is what, 8 years since it first came out on Switch. Maybe even longer than that. I don't even know at this point.
Well, it was on the Wii U originally, right?
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. It's on Wii U, but there's the Zelda games still sell. I mean, so it helps that they have that consistent source of revenue, but also the fact that they have been willing to they need to delay a game, they will. And again, it's like I mentioned, they made mistakes with the Wii U, but those people that made those mistakes were around to help correct them for the next generation.
Yeah. One thing I will say, like, so I love the digging mechanic. I love everything about this game. It's not without its flaws though too. There are moments where I am like in a cave or digging somewhere, and then also just the camera doesn't know what to do, and it gets really close, and I'm like, I can't see my character. There are some moments where the camera kind of goes a little funky. There are also moments too where like I'm in a cave and I'm climbing out of the cave and everything kind of, I don't see uh the background of like getting back into the outer world. It all becomes kind of like, I don't want to say blacked out, but a little bit like it blacks out a little bit and then he comes out of the cave and then you can see everything. But it takes like a moment to be like, oh crap, yeah, let's render all that stuff for you. So those are minor gripes, but they are noticeable. I was like, yeah, I kind of wish that didn't happen. But and there was a couple times where I was like trying to solve a problem, and maybe it was just like a silly way of doing it. But I was like, oh, I think I can get to this banana, even though it's surrounded by lava. If I can make a bridge with this mud, I think I can get there. And just the way the camera angled at a certain point, I couldn't tell how close I was to the lava. And then I got hit with the lava and Donkey Kong, went, whoa, and got hurt. And I was like, oh, sorry, DK. Blame that one on the camera. That was not me. I don't know if you experienced anything like that.
So I have played exclusively docked mode, and I have my two rear buttons, the GR buttons. The GR button is set to dig down, and the GL button is set to reset the camera. So I agree. I agree with you. This is I imagine that a lot of these difficulties are due to the very much the three-dimensionality of the game, of the fact that you are digging through the world. I feel like the camera in this sort of situation is very challenging to do. So I understand, but yeah, I have that camera reset button available to me. And that's the one thing about the game is that I definitely feel like having those rear buttons help, because it's nice to be able to have at least two directions of digging available to you at any given time.
Yeah.
I had to swap the controls like right away to have jump on B as opposed to A.
Yeah.
That was like that's especially like on the Pro controller, it feels feels awkward. I haven't played on the Joy-Cons yet, but I could see maybe with the smaller buttons that the default control scheme would work, and I understand why they did it, to keep it so that, X is up, Y is left, B is down.
Yeah.
But just having the jump button in the spot that the jump button should be, because also the problem is like, most of the time you're going to be punching forward.
Yes.
And with the default control scheme, they feel like they're in weird spots. But yeah, having the jump button be where it is, having punch forward on Y, and then having like to dig down on GR, I think is my preferred control scheme there.
Yeah, I like the fact that they allowed you to remap the buttons. It's funny that you say that, because I also struggled with the B button not being jump, and I ran into some troubles like with monsters and stuff like that right away, because I was like, jump, no, wait, what, why aren't you jump? Oh, he's punching. He's punching down. That's really weird. And it's so it is funny, because like just how your mind works and your muscle memory, right, is like, oh, well, that should be jump. But I was listening to a podcast, and this is so funny because I didn't put this together until I was listening to All Things Nintendo, and Brian Shea and Logan Plant were talking about Donkey Kong, and they talked about the mechanics of like X is punching up, Y is punching forward, B is punching down. And once I thought of that, I was like, oh, that sounds stupid, because like, why didn't I pick up on that? Like, probably wasn't instructions, I just didn't pay attention, right? But once I was able to click that, like all of a sudden something clicked in my mind, and now I have no problem with it. Like for me, it's like, oh yeah, A is jump, B is punch down, Y is punch forward, and X is punch up. That makes total sense now. But it took me to hear that, and then for me to register that and say to my brain, like, no, I'm going to teach you that this is the way that you're supposed to be doing it. And then it clicked. It was a really weird thing to happen, because I was in the same boat. Jump was B, and I was struggling really hard with it. But now I have no problem with it at all. It is really, really weird how that happened. But it was kind of cool too. It's kind of a neat thing where you can see your brain like, all of a sudden, I don't think about it now, but I had to like consciously think about it. When I first heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, X is punch up. That makes sense. And then once I did it like a few times, I'm like, oh yeah. Like, I got it. I got this. It was like, it's weird, but it's kind of cool too.
Yeah, I think, I could see it would make yeah, I click with it like logistically, but I was like, I got the Pro Controller. I can map one of the rear buttons. I'm gonna go ahead and just do that. But yeah, I could see also maybe it making sense to actually map jump to GR, and then you have all your punching on those face buttons. I might mess around with that now. You're opening up my mind here, Roger, to many things. Donkey Kong lore, alternate control schemes.
That's right.
What's next?
What's next? Well, wait, there's more. I don't have money. Maybe I do. I don't know. Maybe, but yeah, I thought that was a neat thing. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was audience. Like, who do you think this is targeted to? I was thinking about this, and this was also like something that I listened to. I think it was Logan that talked about this too, and he mentioned how this will be somebody's childhood game. Like, this is their childhood game, and I was like, that is really kind of a cool thought. And I thought, is this geared towards that next generation of gamers, that this is how they remember Donkey Kong? For me, I was always feel like this is targeted to me. Little side note here, like when they announced the Switch 2, before I knew that Donkey Kong was going to be like their, before Mario, right? I was like, please let there be a 3D Donkey Kong game. That would be amazing. And then it happened, and I was like, oh, Nintendo's listening. They know they're Donkey Kong fans, and they're acknowledging us. But then I heard Logan talk about that, and I was like, yeah, they acknowledged us, but they're also like, this is also a game for kids, and this is their generation of gaming, right? And this is going to be their generation of Donkey Kong. And I thought that was a really interesting thing. And then he paired it with how, like, games like Minecraft, and I watched my son. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is exactly like right up his alley, because he loves creating and digging and building things. And I mean, here you're not, well, you can build things, but like you're mainly destroying things in this game. And I just thought that maybe it is geared towards more of that new audience, that new generation of Donkey Kong fans.
Yeah, it's Donkey Kong for the Minecraft generation.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you think about Minecraft, it's a game where what's stopping you from going anywhere?
Yeah,
I mean, there are things stopping you from just going wherever.
Yeah.
But you could dig through the earth, and there's a generation of people who are like, why can't I dig through this? Why?
Yeah.
It's like you think about like the games we grew up with. We're familiar with like invisible walls, and
Yeah.
you can't get through this thing because that's what the developers put there. They didn't have the power to do it, but we have a generation of gamers, which there are adults whose childhood game was Minecraft.
Yeah,
there are real ass
crazy.
adults who grew up on Minecraft. There are. I would, as a somewhat tangent, there was a player in the home run derby. I think it was James Wood, who was talking about one of the home run derbies he watched as a kid, and it was like 2017 or something like that. Now he was like a teenager at the time, not a kid.
Okay.
But
Okay.
again, there are children who are there are adults who were children when we were
Adults.
when we were adults, and it's I don't like it one bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Donkey Kong for the Minecraft generation.
Yeah. That's funny. Because it really in Donkey Kong, I mean, really kind of set in place that whole Mario lore, right? Not just kind of did. Like, he put Mario on the map. And it's great that they went back to Donkey Kong, but you're right. This is for that Minecraft family, like kids, right? The kids that grew up playing Minecraft, or kids that play Minecraft now. This is their Donkey Kong. I'm just living in that world right now. So, I also wanted to find out your thoughts on this. So, do you think they're going to build off of this more? Do you think that Donkey Kong will now get his own movie, and hopefully animated movie? And if so, like, will it play into just the Super Mario Brothers movie. I mean, I feel like they have to. I feel like they can't really tap into the Donkey Kong where it's just yelling banana all the time. I feel like they have to kind of continue with the Seth Rogen version of Donkey Kong. But they do feel like pretty distinct different Donkey Kongs in my opinion. But do you think that Nintendo will continue to build off of this Donkey Kong franchise? I mean, it's pretty successful, this game.
I'm not sure, just because like sometimes Nintendo has this like really long turnaround on games. Like, you know, Super Mario Odyssey was 8 years ago, and that was the last 3D Mario. I mean, if you want to say the last mainline Mario game was what, maybe Super Mario Wonder, and that's still what, 6 years between games.
Yeah, but I will say this though: this is the same dev team that did Mario Odyssey, right? So, if in not just rumors, because this is really what what we saw. Nintendo, I think, even said it themselves. So this was going to be a Mario. I mean, I'm sorry, this was going to be a Switch 1 game. I can see that then, like, this would have been a follow up to Mario Odyssey. That would have probably cut that development. Like, feels like that development cycle was a lot shorter. But because they're like, well, we have to move this to the Switch 2, it feels a lot longer. Who knows? Maybe they were working on another Mario game in between there, right? Like, hey, we're going to come up with this Donkey Kong game. Oh, well, that's going to be delayed. What if we were to work on another Mario Odyssey 2, or something like that in the interim, and maybe we'll see a Mario turnaround here real fast. But I also do think Nintendo likes to let their games simmer and not just release another big hit like right away, right? Because they want people to be like, oh, let's go enjoy Donkey Kong for some time. Let's have Donkey Kong has his light in the have the spotlight for a while before we say, here's a new Mario game, right? Like poor Donkey Kong in that case. But no, I agree. It has been a long time since we've seen a Mario game.
And like I said, it really helps that Nintendo has this long tail on these games, and that they're able to sell them at or near full price for years afterward.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is the fact that the games are really good. That helps out a lot. But you know, it also, I think, gives Nintendo the ability to, you know, take their time if necessary. And hey, do we really need a new Mario game every 2 years? It would be funny if they started cranking them out like Call of Duty, but do we absolutely need it? No. But
it would be cool if we got a new Mario Odyssey game that ties into this Donkey Kong game. That would be really neat. I would really love that, but we'll see if that happens or not. The last thing I wanted to ask was the hype around the game. So when a game like this, like Bananza, comes out, like, it's a big release, and I think it helps that it's a lot of people are loving this game. But I also think that there's a little bit of this whole fear of missing out, right? Based on social media. Do you think that has like a big part in the success of a game like Bananza? The fact that people are like, oh, I need to get this game like right now, otherwise I'm going to miss out on the conversations and the cultural phenomenon that's happening right now. I want to be part of that. Or do you think because Nintendo has such a long tail in their games, like you were saying, like they continue to sell really well years later, that doesn't really matter? I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it matters, because especially with Nintendo, there are so many. Think about how many people never tweet.
Yeah,
they just lurk. They're not posting online. They mentioned there are all these people that are still buying Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
After the Switch 2 came out, there are people still buying Switch 1 games after the Switch 2 came out. There are people that they're doing their thing because it's what they want to do. So you see this sort of concern over is the FOMO or whatever. It's whatever. I imagine a lot of the appeal around this is because it's the first Switch 2 game that isn't Mario Kart World, because the tie-in ratio with Switch 2 to Mario Kart World is if it's not one, it's 1-to-1 of people with brains and Switch 2 owners. Because if you're buying a Switch 2 and not buying Mario Kart World, I don't know. People got their own ways of living, and but I'm not sure on that one. But this is the first like choice of a game that you have to buy for the Switch 2, and I imagine some of the appeal is based off of that. Is that, hey, this is the first game that's not like a port of something else. It's not Cyberpunk. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, or whatever. This is the first like original Nintendo game on Switch 2 that's not Mario Kart World. So I think that adds an air of intrigue about it.
Yeah. I feel like this is. I mean, we have other launch titles that were on the Switch 2 as well, but I do feel like this is the Nintendo saying this is what we wanted to do. This is why we have the Switch 2. This game right here. This is why, right?
Yeah, it shows it off real well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I do. I will say for myself, there is a little bit of. I will say this with the Switch 2. That's one of the reasons I got a Switch 2 is because I saw everybody else like, oh, I got my pre-order in. Oh, I got my pre. And I was like, I gotta get mine in. Like, I didn't want to miss out on like something fantastic. I'm glad I got a Switch 2 because honestly, it is my most played system. My kids also love the fact that I got a Switch 2 because they have my original Switch now, and they love that. So, and the other thing I'll say about this game that's kind of cool, I have not tried this yet, but apparently you can have, I can be playing this game as Donkey Kong, and on the original Switch, I can have my kids playing as Pauline. So it's just like kind of streaming it to their Switch. And that is really cool to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that to me, I think that's like one of the advantages. I think that's one of the things that I love Nintendo's doing right now. It's like, how can we integrate this experience? Because we know a lot of people spent money on the Switch 1. How can we like somehow integrate their experience on the Switch 2 that people that still have the Switch 1, 2 can play along, especially in families like ours, where I have, a Switch 1 as well. And I hand it to my kids. I'm not going to sell my Switch because I'm not going to get a lot of money on it, but I can still now use it even for Donkey Kong, and then they can experience it, and then they'll probably be like, I want to Switch 2, right? Like it's a good marketing scheme too, but yeah, I don't know. It was just a thought that I had. Any closing thoughts or remarks that you have around Donkey Kong that we didn't cover that you wanted to bring out in this conversation?
I like Donkey Kong 64. I think it's kind of the Metallica Black Album of 3D platformers. But I did enjoy that game as a kid, and I'm glad that Banana is back.
Yeah. My closing thing is I like Mario Odyssey. I like Mario Odyssey a lot.
Hot take.
I know that is a very hot take. I like this game more. And where with Mario Odyssey, I'm very far. Like I'm very far in the game. I haven't beaten it though. Like, and I kind of fell off of it, like, because other things came up, and I was like, and then I moved on. And every once in a while, I'll pick up Odyssey. I'm like, oh, this is a great game, and then I get locked in the, I should go. There's moons here. I should probably go find those moons. Oh, and now I need to find these moons to get past this. Oh, okay. With Donkey Kong, there's no real reason I need to find bananas, but I want to find bananas. And I don't know, like I have 174 bananas right now. And that's to me, no, 177. I just got 3 more right before this call. To me, I think that's where I find I'm just having, there's more joy in this game for me, I think. And I think that's what you said is like this creativity around like, how can I solve this puzzle? I can do it however I want. And it just feels like Donkey Kong he feels good. I mean, the way he plays and moves and everything, it just feels really good. And the other thing is I really love the relationship between Pauline and Donkey Kong. There's just like this wholesome relationship between these two that they're just like, two people that are thrown into this together, and Donkey Kong kind of took it upon himself of like, I'm gonna protect you, kid. And I don't know, I just love that. I love their friendship, and she leans on him to help gain her confidence, and he leans on her to help find bananas. I mean, it's just a really it's a good wholesome friendship game too. I think that's what I like about it. So
yeah.
Whereas Cappy, I'm just like, who cares about Cappy? I don't care about Cappy. I do care about Pauline though, and it's just like it's a fun game, and I love the fact that this is probably a prequel to what like how did New Donk City happen, right? And how did she become the mayor of that? And why did she name it New Donk? Maybe she didn't name it that. Who knows? But now I'm actually kind of sad once if Donkey Kong dies. And that's why she names it New Donk City in honor of him. Now I'm really sad because you never see Donkey Kong in Mario Odyssey. Oh my God, I'm being made myself sad. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, this is grim. I have another question about Donkey Kong lore. There's not a Wario to Donkey Kong, right? There's no like. Okay,
no.
I would be very curious to find out who we need the Wario of Donkey Kong.
I would maybe the Void Company. They're kind of the Wario to Donkey Kong, I would say. They're more devious, I guess, than Wario, but it's all about like riches and being rich, and they're exploiting the underground worlds for their own and the core of this planet for their own wealth. So maybe they're the Wario to Donkey Kong.
I guess. I would say there would need to be a like not human, but a like organic being that is the antithesis to Donkey Kong in the way that we have Wario and Waluigi, and there was that concept art of Wa-Peach, which really Nintendo needs to start catching up on bringing back some Wa. We need Wa Link, Wa Zelda. Well, no, we had Wa Zelda in that one 3DS game in low rule. We okay, so yeah, we have had our Wa Zelda. But look, it doesn't even need to be a Wa whatever, but I think it's very funny for Nintendo characters to have their evil counterpart, and I think there's really a lot of untapped material here, and maybe that's what we need to see in Donkey Kong Bonanza too.
Yeah, maybe. Before we head out, Carter, how can people follow you on social media?
You can follow me on the Blue Sky at wondroushippo.biz. That is, I'm still log in to Twitter, but Twitter is evil, so follow me on Blue Sky. I also post concert photos on Instagram at Wondrous Hippo, and you're an indie dev that needs PR for your game. Really, indie dev. I work for a company called Stride PR. We do PR for everyone from one-person indie teams all the way up to AAA publishers. If you need PR for your game, or if you are a member of the media that wants some new games to play, wants to hear the latest news, or if you're a content creator or influencer that wants to hear about the opportunities for keys for games to cover, go to stridepr.com. We got contact info there. If you're email us if you want PR for your game. If you're a media or a creator, you got a form to fill out, and you might start hearing from us. Can I also hype up a game that I'm working on that I really want people to check out?
Yeah, for sure.
So I work on a bunch of games, but there's one. The next launch that I really have one. We talk about 3D platformers. It's a game called 1,000 Deaths.
Okay.
And it's inspired a lot actually by Super Mario Galaxy. It's a real gravity flipping 3D platformer. And what I really like about it is that it has both this. It's a game that if you're a speedrunner, you're going to love it. It's got a bunch of like arcade levels, and it's got these mechanics that are really built for people that are really into speedrunning to try and master it. And there's a lot of fun tricks in there. But if you're someone that really loves narrative games, this has a story mode with a branching branching campaign with multiple endings. It's got a story that really touches on a lot of mature themes of of growing up and the decisions that we make, the relationships that we make, and interpersonal issues, and coping with with the consequences of our actions as we die. And it's this really, really interesting game that I really hope that people check out. It releases on August 7th on Steam. It's coming to PlayStation 5 in the future as well. It's called 1,000 Deaths. Releases August 7th. There's a demo on Steam. I really want y'all to check it out. I really think this game is going to be something special. Please go play it. Like I said, if you're a media or creator, email me at carter@stridepr.com. I will get you a key for this game. I really want you to check it out. It's got the sauce, I'm telling you.
Okay. I'll put a link to the Steam page in the show notes so people can check that out. So cool. And listeners, you can follow us on Blue Sky at gamerheadspodcast.com. You can also follow me at RogueLeader1976 on Blue Sky. You can go to our website at gamerheadspodcast.com where you can hear this show and other shows and read our reviews and previews and other fun things. And then check us out on YouTube as well. Subscribe to us there as well, because that helps us grow as our audience there as well. So we're putting a lot more stuff on our YouTube channel as well. So Carter, thank you so much for joining us this week. I really appreciate it. That was really fun.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Roger.
Yeah. And listeners, thank you so much for giving us a listen. If you like what you hear, consider leaving us a review. We'd love to hear what you have to say about the show. And then consider joining our Patreon. For as low as $3 a month, you can join the Gamerheads Nation and help support indie game journalism. With that, everyone stay safe and game on. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
I want to take a moment and say thank you to those that support our Patreon at our $3 tier or higher. And so I'd like to say thank you to Matt, thank you to Adam, thank you to Sarah, thank you so much for supporting the Gamerheads podcast. And listener, if you wish to support the Gamerheads podcast, you can as well for as low as $3 a month. Thank you so much for your continued support of the Gamerheads podcast.